Yeah, I might just quickly say to everyone, welcome for another Connect and Share session. And well, I'm trying to be a bit spooky and I'm moving myself around the screen for you today because it's Halloween. And also it's Teachers Day. So World Teachers Day, we celebrate on the 29th of October in Australia. So for all you outdoor editors that are teachers as well, happy Teachers Day. Before I introduce the beautiful Jen Simmons, I just wanted to acknowledge our traditional owners of the land in which we all meet today. I come from Gurungai and Darug country and been on this land for close to 50 years. And but obviously there's thousands of years prior to that where our Aboriginal ancestors have taken carriage of this land, cared for it, interpreted it, and now give it to all of us to share, to interpret, and also to have our outdoor experiences on. So Jen, I'm going to introduce or throw over to you now because you have to go and we want to make sure that you get to your next appointment on time. So I'll give you the co-host rights as well. So if you wanted to share any screens, you can go right ahead. So welcome, Jen, from Women's Sport Australia.
Thank you very much for having me. And I would have loved to have shared a presentation, but we are powerless in the inner west in Victoria at the moment. So you just get me on the phone. But I think actually the microwave just tweaked. So I think actually the power has just come back on, but I'll just stick with me telling you a little bit about Women's Sport Australia and the programs and initiatives that we have. So thank you for having me today. And I also would like to just acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land on which we meet today and pay my respects to elders past, present and emerging. So yes, my name is Jen Simmons and I am the president of Women's Sport Australia. And Women's Sport Australia, we are a volunteer, not-for-profit organisation that really work around the area of equal opportunities for women and girls in sport. So we really have different sort of strategic pillars of different areas where we want to try and influence change. And we've got a few different initiatives that we're working through at the moment. So a little bit of history about Women's Sport Australia. So we sort of were originally incorporated in 2005. So it was quite a different sporting landscape in 2005. There weren't so many women's competitions as there are today, which means there has been a lot of progress since then, which is fantastic. But obviously there is always still more work to be done in this space. So 2005, we incorporated and were very much around sort of advocating for equal opportunities for women and girls in sport. We were influencing government. We were doing a lot of work with sort of leagues and different areas to really create change. And we were sort of one of the only bodies out there doing a lot of this work. And fast forward sort of 15, 16 years now, and there has been a lot of change that has happened. I'd love to say that we were solely responsible for it, but really I think that people just wisened up to the fact that we probably need to offer opportunities for the other 50% of the population. So as well as our organisation, we were originally Australian Women's Sport and Recreation Association. We decided to rebrand to Women's Sport Australia in 2016 to just sort of modernise our name and our image a little bit. And we've also really decided to embrace the work that's being done in this space through other organisations. So there's lots of different groups out there. There's lots of different government departments that sort of focus on women's sport in New South Wales. You're very lucky to have the Office of Sport in New South Wales and Kerry Turner doing fantastic things with Her Sport, Her Way. Absolutely. So there's a lot of great work being done in this space. So we really see our role, whereas in the past it was really just Women's Sport Australia or Australian Women's Sport and Recreation Association trying to lead the way. Now there's a real sort of movement of different organisations and government departments and things that are working in this space and that are wanting to create change. So we are really looking at changing our mandate a little bit to really be a bit more of an umbrella body and really unite and amplify all the work that's being done. So no longer do we have to sort of do it alone as Women's Sport Australia. We can actually bring everyone who's working in this space together and really be stronger as one. So that's been a really exciting thing to sort of work through the last couple of years. And we are pleased that we've been able to launch a Gender Equity in Sport pledge. So that is, instead of the old sort of $50 membership model and you get discount access to our programs and a few things like that, we just want to really harness the energy around women's sport and collect people who are wanting to take affirmative action to create change and better opportunities for women and girls in sport. So we have that as an individual sign up. There's no money involved or anything like that. It's just sign up to the Gender Equity in Sport pledge. So that can be found on the Women's Sport Australia website. And through that, we're also working with organisations to sign up to that pledge. At the moment, we're limited to sort of women in sport organisations to sign up and be part of the movement and the amplification and the uniting of different women in sport groups, so that we can bring everyone together and talk about the different things that everyone's doing in this space and actually be a bit more strategic about sort of everything that we're working towards. So that is a really exciting sort of development that's come about in the last sort of 12 months. And I think it's going to be really exciting to see what we can do with all of these groups together. So we look forward to sort of rolling out phase 2 of the pledge, which will be organisations sort of like yourselves and sort of sporting bodies and everyone to see how they can get involved with the pledge as well, because it's just like, there's no doubt that everyone has a mindful sort of eye on the women and girls sort of strategy and making sure that there's equal opportunities. So I think it's really great to have such a sort of a physical representation of being able to say, I've signed a pledge. So that is sort of our overarching broader strategy. But as well as that sort of advocacy and relationships piece, we do have some of our own programs that we run through Women's Sport Australia, which I was keen to talk to you today about. So we have probably my favourite program, because it was how I first came across Women's Sport Australia, is our Women in Sport mentoring program. So that is one that is available for people working within sport who don't feel like they've sort of reached their management potential or leadership potential just yet, and that they'd like to be connected with someone who can help them get to that next level within sport. So, or within their leadership journey. It doesn't even have to be within sport, but they just might be in sport at the moment and want to use that as a springboard into their next role. So the program, it involves you sign up to a workshop, and it's a 3-hour workshop that you do with other people. Through COVID, the last 2 years, all of our projects and programs have been held online because it's just been too hard to do anything face-to-face. But I think it is also, we've seen the benefit of being able to have people not restricted by location. And I did, like in the past, we've held programs in Melbourne and in Sydney and in Queensland, in Brisbane, but we've been able to capture so many more people just because it's, all you need is a laptop to be able to sign into the workshop. So I think that's probably something that will keep moving forwards. Now, the workshop itself is facilitated by the former president of Women's Sport Australia, Carol Fox, around sort of confident communication, and also by Bron Parry, who's a sort of senior sports executive who now works with Softball Australia. But she's worked across a whole range of different sports in a consulting sense. And she talks about sort of career development, the importance of networking. And it's really just a 3-hour session to meet some other people who work within sport. Beautiful. Thank you for sharing the screen. This is some information about the program. Got a beautiful picture of Carol there on the screen. And if you scroll down, you've got one of Bron as well. So yeah, this is the information about the program. So as I said, you've got a workshop, which goes for 3 hours and covers those things around confident communication, leadership skills, networking, and sort of career development. And through that workshop, we sort of build a bit of a picture up about each of the participants in the program. And then following that initial session, we build a profile around that participant, the mentee, and then we bring it back to our Women's Sport Australia board, and we go through our own sort of networks of contacts around what skill set and who we know within our network might be good to be matched with this specific individual. So it's been a really, really fantastic program, because not only does the mentee or the participant get matched with an actual mentor that's sort of custom selected for their skill set, but also they're able to meet other people through that sort of initial workshop and expand their network a bit. And there's something that's so great. Like, I'm still friends with actually Michaela, who's on the screen there. She and I did the program at the same time in 2017, and I'm still friends with her. She still works with Hockey Victoria. I think she was an inclusion coordinator when we did the program together, and she's progressed into a management role. I know that she's still got a great relationship with her mentor, Karen, who's also there. So it's really a program that is really great to just help you get to that next step in your career. And I'm a very sort of interesting example of someone doing the mentoring program, because I signed up that was the first interaction I had with Women's Sport Australia in 2017. And Carol, the facilitator, who was the president of Women's Sport Australia, came up to me afterwards, and she was like, "You asked a lot of questions about board work and committees. So I think we'd really like to see if you'd be interested to come onto a casual vacancy on our board." And I was a bit like, I was 28 at the time, and I was like, "Oh, me? Like, I didn't think people like me joined boards. I thought you had to be sort of old and generally a man to join a board." So it was very interesting. She's like, "No way, no, we need fresh blood. We need people who are in the industry and have some good ideas." So yeah, I was able to sort of not only be matched with a mentor and sort of have that connection with Felicity, who I was able to learn from in a marketing sense, but also I was given this opportunity to join the Women's Sport Australia board and see if it was for me. And then I was elected on a few months later. So, and now I've progressed into president 3 years later. So it's certainly been a bit of a whirlwind, but it really has opened up a lot of doors and a lot of networks for me. So I would strongly encourage you to look into the mentoring program. At the moment, we've run 4 sessions of it this year, and we probably won't run another one, but there is an expression of interest sort of sign up form on the website, so you can sort of register your details, and as soon as we've got our dates confirmed for the following year, you'll be able to, we'll email you so that you've got some information about it.
Great. So, and obviously, just to state the obvious, but obviously this is encompassing of active recreation as well, not just competitive sport, which is why you're here today. It certainly
is. Yeah, exactly. So it is. And that's another thing, like our titles are always sort of so hard around, like, we call it the Women in Sport program because it aligns with the name of our organisation, but really everything that is movement and recreation focused. And that's one thing about this program as well. You don't have to have a sign off by your national body or by a state sporting association or a national sporting organisation, which some of the other grant programs and things are quite restricted by that. So this is a really good one. We get people from local government, we get people from universities, we get all walks of life, and some people that don't even work in sport, but they want to work in sport one day. So it is definitely available to whoever would like the experience. And certainly in my own opinion, because I've done it myself, it's a fantastic program. So I would definitely encourage you to have a look, and if you think it's something you might be interested in, to register for an expression of interest. Or if you've got any further questions, like, I'm very happy for my email to be passed on, and if anyone wants to ask me anything directly, that can be organised. So that's the mentoring program. And we also have sort of some leadership programs and a few different things like that. So I actually was on a call prior to this with another sort of leadership program facilitator, talking about how we might be able to expand our offering in this space. So yeah, this one's sort of targeted at whether within your actual organisation you might have sort of 5 to 10 sort of leaders that want to come together for a masterclass, then that's something we can facilitate through Women's Sport Australia as well. So there's opportunities for those sort of more entry to mid or people who don't think they've quite reached that leadership space. And then there's also the opportunities for the leaders to really finesse their skills and get a bit of professional development as well. So we're really confident about building the workforce. We think that's a key area in women's sport, and we know that there's plenty of programs available, but it's specifically around that, those people who are sort of officer, coordinator, want to get into the manager's role but just aren't quite there yet. That's definitely where our program really fits well with the mentoring program.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
So I think, yeah, that's sort of like a bit of an overview of those programs. The other thing that we've got at Women's Sport Australia at the moment, we've got our Women in Sport Photo Action Awards, WISPA, which is a competition that takes place every year just around all these fantastic images that you can see on the screen. It's just about showing women really in action when they're playing sport, when they're physically active. And what's been great to see is that we've had a real range of different sports. It's not just your traditional sort of AFLs and things. Like we had like zip lining and like outdoor swimming, and like there's been like dragon boat racing and stuff. So like it is very, very open to lots of different sports and things. So the quality of the images, they're just sensational, and it's such a joy to be able to use them in our Women's Sport Australia promotion because they are just incredible images. So that's another annual competition that we run. So if you do have any fantastic images or anything, like I would love to see them. And yeah, like I think that that's probably the biggest overview of Women's Sport Australia. The other thing that we have at the moment, we've got a partnership with Cadbury Chocolate, and where through that partnership, there's some great pictures of women on Cadbury wrappers at the moment. The Women's Sport Australia logo's on there, but the overarching part of that partnership is a uniform grants sort of program. So helping female sporting clubs to have uniform that they're comfortable in and that they have sort of assisted in designing. It's not just the hand-me-downs from the boys, and it's something, and it's not like a skimpy bikini bottom or top or something like that either. So yeah, that's sort of a bit of an overview of everything, and I'm happy to answer any questions or anything that you might have that you want to.
I've got a few, and I'm certainly welcome anyone to ask any questions of Jen. But Jen, what are the main areas that the women struggle in sport and active recreation? In your observations of being on the board and being part of the network, where are some of the challenges that women, what are the challenges they face?
I think it's really difficult, like, because like traditionally we're fighting against so much history of men having opportunities to play sport. And if we take AFL, for example, I'm a Melbourne girl, so everything's a lot of AFL for us. Like AFL's been around for over 100 years for men, and they have really developed the game into this sense that like the players are making huge amounts of money. They've got heaps of endorsements. They are living very well off the wage that they make through sport. Whereas you look at the AFLW players and their competition still in its infancy, and it's fantastic that it is here, but still these players don't earn enough to make a living wage. So they're semi-professional and they're still having to work on the side of things. So I'm aware that like the AFL, like they talk about maybe they'll need to do hubs again because there's still border issues for WA and things. And if that's the case, the two teams from WA, their players are going to have to leave their jobs and move over to Melbourne, and they just don't have the right amount of compensation to be able to do that, whereas the AFL clubs have been able to sort of change that. So I think there's still a lot of discrepancies in the way that female athletes just aren't at that same level as male athletes. And it's something that we want to be able to provide that pathway that females can make a living wage through sport. So everything that we try to do is elevate the way that they're seen so that they're at that sort of same level as males, but it's just it's a work in progress, and it's hard when you're fighting against years and years of history.
So obviously that's certainly in the competitive area and the elite area. What about grassroots? I mean, what are some of the challenges women face at grassroots level when they're trying to get into the competitions or into the activities?
Yeah, well, I think it's really interesting, and there's been a lot of sort of reflection on this, because really, like, things have been moving forwards for females in grassroots. Like, you've got kids able to do sort of soccer and cricket as the sort of grassroots summer participation, and AFL, and there's people are starting to see those pathways. So pre-COVID, things were looking really good, and then COVID sort of struck, and it's definitely made everyone sort of reassess sort of exactly what the priorities are going to be. And I still think in terms of sort of investments, it's sort of like, because traditionally it's sort of been like, oh, the male change rooms were upgraded, but the females, you can just sort of go in the disabled toilet or something like that, or the ladies' toilets, because we didn't traditionally have a female change room. So it's still just a little bit of an afterthought, just once again fighting against history where the boys were sort of had much more opportunity to play than girls. So a few of the barriers that we've looked into have definitely been around sort of facilities and also uniform, and that's sort of what has prompted us to have this Get in the Game Cadbury uniform grant to help females be more comfortable in their uniform that they're wearing.
Yeah, right. Dave's got a question, so I might throw to Dave.
Yes, I'm just wondering how we can integrate the types of things you're doing into our industry, which is both personal recreation, outdoor education, outdoor adventure, and that type of stuff. We have women employees, of course, and what we do need to encourage more ladies to come out and adventure personally, I guess.
Yeah, I think that, like, it's great. And I think in terms of that, I would say your marketing and the perception of the sport that you put out through of active recreation and outdoor ed and everything, it's very much around sort of showing females that it is something that's welcoming and engaging for them to participate in. So making sure that if you've got females that are doing it, snapping some photos and putting those photos on social media, even a video of like, this was a great thing for us to catch up and do on the weekend and stuff, because I think it's just about sort of changing that perception that it's more of a traditionally male sort of recreation activity. So the more that you can sort of really showcase females in this space, I think will be really, really helpful. And and that sort of goes to the website, it goes to what you're putting in newsletters and things like that. I think it's just sort of showing the opportunity for people to get involved in the sport, in the sport and recreation aspect of things. And I also think it's sort of like, coming out of COVID, it's an opportunity. It's sort of like, I know we've all been missing restaurants and bars and things, but why don't you do a different catch up with the girls this week? And why don't you come and do this instead? So like, everyone's going to get over the champagne boozy brunches and things like that. So like, let's encourage a bit of physical activity, because we haven't really been able to do it the last 2 years. Get out and about and explore.
Absolutely, James.
Just a further question there is, you were talking about that you run, your organisations run mentoring and leadership training and other things. Would our young female leaders be able to access that type of stuff? We're struggling to find funds for it ourselves, so would we be able to shift a few into your world, or would you be able to run some programs that were more specific to the outdoor recreation, outdoor education leadership area?
Yeah, well, we've partnered with a women's Australian fashion wear brand called Shona Joy, and they're really passionate about increasing the workforce sort of capability. So we've been able to introduce the Shona Joy Scholarship for people to actually be a part of these programs, and so that the financial barriers are taken away from them. So that is something we'll look to run again next year. So I would encourage once we've got information about that available, people to apply and just sort of say, we want more leadership training and we'd love to access this through the Shona Joy Scholarship.
Brilliant. Kirsten, you've got a question?
Hi, thank you very much, Laurie, and thank you. I'm sorry, I haven't got your name.
Jen.
Who's our presenter?
Jen. No, sorry.
No, my fault. I'm using my phone and I can't see names on there easily. Thanks, Jen, for the presentation. It's very exciting. I have a few questions, and one of them is exactly the same as David's question. Is the mentoring available to our walks leaders? And so I'll introduce myself. I'm from Bushwalking New South Wales. We're the peak body for outdoor recreational clubs in New South Wales and ACT, and our members are bushwalking clubs. And within those clubs, you generally find that what we do is everybody who's a member of a club, they're all volunteers, and it's all just great fun and recreation. You generally find that, and the way we operate is volunteers put their hand up to lead a walk or a canyon or paddling or cycling, all kinds of activities. And what you generally find in the club is more women than men actually attend and are involved, but more men than women are leading all those activities. So it would be great if our women in our clubs could access your leadership training as well. They're purely volunteers, so would that be something also that could perhaps some people who could also benefit from the Shona Joy scholarship?
Yeah, definitely. I think that's perfect. And like when we introduced the scholarship, we got a lot of applications from people that work for state sporting organisations, and we almost discounted them sort of straight away if they had a paid salary, because it was like your organisation should be able to pay for this, or you personally, you get a wage, so you should be able to pay for this. It's really for people that are volunteering their extra time to be a part of the sporting industry or recreation, that they're the kind of people that we want to give this opportunity to, people that traditionally wouldn't be able to have this access to the program without sort of specific funding that's going to benefit them. So I would, definitely encourage them.
Excellent. Wow, thank you very much. It all sounds wonderful. And I was so delighted to hear that recreation is included, as Laurie clearly helped you
defined,
yes. To us, because yes, whenever sport is mentioned, I just go, here we are again. I don't know if Laurie, if you want me to chat about that one, but that's so the interesting thing about that is bushwalking clubs, bushwalking Australia and bushwalking New South Wales, the three tiers, the clubs, the state peak body and our federal body. We're not funded by the sport government programs because we don't qualify as a sport because we're not competitive, and there is so much to gain from engaging in outdoor adventure with other people and collaborating, and so we gain and we learn so much from the collaboration that we do when we're doing outdoor adventure. So there's my little whinge about why we need to be included. We're doing some great stuff.
I agree. I think it's so important, and really we can't just think about the traditional sport competition models anymore as being recreation, when you've got things like people going for runs and like bushwalking, like those kind of things. Like we just want people to be physically active. We don't care if they're doing a competition or not. Like anything where people are getting out and about and being active is great. That's my opinion. I'm going to go through our copy on our website and make sure we've got not just sport and have it as recreation, so that it's clearer that it's an opportunity, because I'm a comms person, and the fact that that isn't clear, I'm like, no, we need to make that clear so that you know that it's an opportunity.
Yeah, thank you. And I think to Kirsten's point, I always try to find the synergies of both of the elements that we offer, and Bronwyn has articulated it perfectly in her chat there, but a lot of what actually happens in our industry is some of our women are really wanting to have a family and kids and really struggle in cutting through the hours and commitment that some of the outdoor recreation activities or journey-based offerings that they want to do restrict with family. So having access and ability and flexibility around our careers and our options. But yeah, as Bron highlighted, if you want to jump in, Bron, feel free, but the costs are a barrier for a lot of women in getting through to being part of it. But yeah, that confidence, like that leadership program that you've got, that mentoring program, I'd love some of our guys to apply for that, because I think that's a lot of the presence of positioning women to be able to do this is more in their head than in their ability. So those mentoring programs I just love.
Yeah, perfect. Well, I'll stay in touch with you and make sure when we've got our dates for 2022 confirmed and information about the Shona Joy scholarship funding and things, I'll make sure that it's made available to you, because I think there are a lot of opportunities for sport, and the more that we can open up to new markets, the better, to provide opportunities for people that otherwise wouldn't be able to have it.
Now I know you have to run, but Dave, you've got another quick question?
Yeah, my quick question there was, obviously interacting with Outdoors New South Wales. What about Outdoors Victoria and Outdoors Queensland, the other state peak bodies? Have you had any contact with any of them? Because I think this would be of interest.
I actually haven't at this stage. So once I'm able to sort of send on some information, once again, New South Wales and ACT leading the way, it seems, in this relationship connection. So but I would love to. It's hard because we work as volunteers at Women's Sport Australia. It's a lot of the time is in my out of hours. So I'm working, my day job is with Gymnastics Victoria, and I'm working on reduced hours because gymnastics clubs haven't been open. So I'm able to do things on Fridays at the moment, which is lovely. The more connections and things that we can form, the better. And it's sort of, I'm well connected within the Victorian sports industry because that's where I'm located, but it's definitely around forging as many connections as possible, and certainly in those industries that feel like they're discluded from other opportunities.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Jen, for being with us today. And if you take anything away, let's include active recreation in everything that you do.
Yeah, no problem.
Forge ahead. So thanks again for your time. Really appreciate it. And keep in touch, and I'll connect you with the OCA as well.
Yeah, beautiful. Sounds great. Okay. Thank you so much. Lovely to speak to you.
Storms.
The power. Yes, exactly. I think we're okay now. I'll go and investigate. Thank you so much. See you later, everyone.
Jen. Take care. Now, before I do my quick wrap of the day, we've got another guest with us. And Vanessa, so good to see you. Thanks for joining us this morning. Vanessa, in the spirit of mentoring, this is a continuation of the same topic, but this is for some of you, which I know are well positioned to take advantage of this opportunity. So over to you, Vanessa.
Thanks, Laurie, and thanks for inviting me to join you all this morning. Yes, so the Destination North Coast Business Accelerator and Mentoring Program has opened for a round 2. We do have a number of adventure tourism-based businesses already in the program, and they're doing really well. I suppose the reason I've joined you this morning is to appeal to you to say, if you are a business based in the North Coast, I'm going to pop the link in the chat. Please jump in and have a look and see if you think that there is an opportunity that you'd like to take up to do some one-on-one time with a coach / mentor through until the middle of next year. Or do you know a business? Now, we're working at the moment with everything from startup operators. There's a new kayak business, tours wants to open up in Port Macquarie, through to other businesses that have been up and running for the last 30 years, who are just kind of getting in touch with their inner value proposition, exploring any possible pivots in the marketplace, and just reconnecting to see that they're current and viable. So look, if you can think of any one thing that would suit, or you can you even think it may suit yourself or a family member, please jump in, take a look, and we'd love to have a chat with you, or at least look at a submission.
Now, Vanessa, the geographic area this covers, is that right to the Queensland border, North Coast?
Right to the Queensland border. So we're going all the way from Byron right down to Foster, Tuncurry.
Great. So we've got two businesses online right now that are in that precinct. So Mel and Rob, if this is something that would trigger your interest, certainly you can certainly ask me questions, because I know the program well. But Vanessa, if you want to drop your contact details in there, that'd be awesome as well. Because Mel is in the hinterland area of the Tweed, and Rob is on the North Coast. Mid-North Coast. So Mel, did you have any questions, or does that spark any interest for yourself? Oh, you're on mute, Donna.
I think poor Bronwyn doesn't have the bandwidth at the moment. Her reception's not good enough to be.
Yes, Bron's there too. Yes,
yeah,
absolutely. Bron is sort of near Port Stephens. So yeah, she's actually in that region as well. Kirsten, yes, you've got some clubs in that area. Did you want to ask Vanessa a question?
Yeah, so basically, hi Vanessa, I'm from the peak body for bushwalking clubs in New South Wales and the ACT. And so my organisation is a not-for-profit, and I'm wondering if we could apply. And I'm also wondering if our clubs, they're all not-for-profit organisations, can they also apply?
I would suggest that any club or organisation that is driving visitation into the area and is looking at having an offer at whatever level that is would certainly be worth looking at the program, because the whole idea is to lift capacity and capability across everyone who's having visitors come in, basically.
Okay, so an offer would be perhaps leading a bushwalk. Is that what you mean by an offer?
That's right. Or having a trail open. If there's an environment where you're even handing out a map that says this is a trail, or we're doing, I'm not sure what services the clubs offer, but certainly an application would be worth, it's not an onerous application. It takes about 15 minutes to fill it out, and then we can identify and see if it's a good match for mentoring or not.
Vanessa, I've got a good one for you on Kirsten's level. Sorry, Kirsten's working with Queensland at the moment on a brand new product, which, yeah, sorry, we're going to talk to that, Kirsten.
Oh yeah, no, yeah. So we are wanting to encourage the formation of a long distance walking route from eventually Sydney to Brisbane, and so we've taken a 13,000 kilometre chunk of that to start off with, and called it the Barrington Burner Trail, and we're wanting to get that realised. So is that a kind of a program where it would need trail markers, a website, even an app, so that people, when they're walking the trail, they could know where to go? Is that the kind of offering? And it definitely wants to service the tourism industry. Basically, we want to promote people walking through the North Coast. So it starts near Newcastle and ends over the Queensland border.
I've got goosebumps listening to this. And
wonderful.
I definitely want to see your
Thanks,
application.
Laurie.
But more critically, I think that there's a series of introductions that need to be made, because these are the critical kinds of activities linking regions that need multi-stakeholder consultation, but also inclusion and finance. We've got to get money from the right people.
So Kirsten, yeah, the network I connected you to is running this program, and Vanessa is running it on behalf of them.
Right. I really need to get back to them. ASAP.
Can you please? Because it's at this level that the magic happens. And this is perhaps not strictly speaking like a small business, diversifying from, kayaking to abseiling and doing a bit of hiking. You have a full vision.
Yes.
But we would be interested in talking, because we work with Newcastle as well. So we connect with Newcastle Council, 2 regions. So we've got two regions back to back, and we can definitely start to make some connections there. So I think it would be really worth getting together.
Okay, sounds great. Well, Laurie, just mention to our clubs whenever you know that my first thought was them.
Yes, I will. I'll back you up on that, Kirsten. It was my fault. I plugged your product. It's all good.
Yeah, no, it sounds really interesting. But I think that Destination North Coast would be really excited to hear about this as well. Not just for mentoring, but for inclusion in the trails, because they are about to open a flavour trail, and they're also opening a rail trail, and they've got big projects launching and a hiking trail. Yes,
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
Sorry. So, Laurie, would you be able to email us?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I'll send you the details. Yep. I'll include that in the email I've got for you.
There we go.
Fantastic. What a great day today.
It was worth coming on, wasn't it, Kirsten?
Absolutely.
Mel,
Kirsten and I are actually neighbours. We live across the road from each other.
Oh, you're kidding. There you go. Awesome. So Mel, you'll speak to the
I will contact Vanessa. Yeah. Thank you. Great. Yeah, I've got her details down.
Wonderful. Bron or Rob, do you have any questions? Because it's certainly fitting to your area as well. I think Bron's got bad reception, so yeah, we'll see. And Rob might be the same. He might be actually out on work, but yeah, we'll send the details through. We've got the industry newsletter going out over the weekend, so we'll certainly put this program into that industry newsletter. So if you miss any of the links, it'll be in that for you. Great. Any other questions before we let Vanessa go and get on with her day?
I would say short show's a good show.
Okay, great. Awesome, Vanessa. We've probably got some candidates here, so that's great. And
thanks for your time today, guys. Okay, I look forward to hearing from you. Bye.
Take care. Bye. Awesome. So we'll get back to the presentation now. We've done our guest speakers for the morning, and a quick wrap up on where we've got to with the current status and other activities and opportunities for you all. Needless to say, look, we're scaling back the grants, and slowly, you know the deal. By the end of November, there won't be government funding through the COVID system. We are working exceptionally hard at the moment with the Department of Education, the Department of Health, the Treasury, in working out what from next week, pretty much what that looks like for our sector. For those that aren't in education, you are all off and running. You have got freedom as far as the public health orders are concerned. You can welcome your guests in, just making sure, again, reiterating to look at those public health orders as the bare minimum in what you need to instill. That includes your 4 square metre rule and also your COVID safe plans. Again, a reminder to go back in your own capacity and make sure that you're monitoring that and making sure risk management is still first and front of mind. When we hear about the camps, we will certainly let you know from an outdoor ed sense. But what we are doing to try to assist as many operators as we can, you would have noticed the incursion email that went out last week. If you haven't responded to that and you do have an incursion offer, please get back to me ASAP. When I say ASAP, I mean within the hour as soon as you hang up from this call. As of today, we have EDMs going to over 200,000 people in schools. So if you want to take advantage of this incursion campaign, you need to get back to me as soon as possible so I can get you onto the website. You can see the website there. We have all of the regions listed. And if you've presented me an offer, it will be in the region that you have nominated. So as of today, we have an EDM going to 64,000 people that are educators through Education HQ. As of tomorrow night, we'll have an EDM going to 3,620 schools and their principals. We will have a social post that will go to 14,000 on Monday through Education HQ, as well as our own socials, of course. And we have a Solace EDM going on Monday to the 64,000 database. So that is huge exposure for what we have on offer, hoping to drive some interest, and if not just awareness, again, of what outdoor education can do for their students and getting the kids back outdoors. So look, it's not back to camp just yet, but certainly if we can get some traction in getting this activity going, well, that would be absolutely great. Next week is our Careers in the Outdoors session. So our webinar will be on Thursday night from 7 to 8. Thanks to Study Work Grow again for their support here. They sent an EDM out this week and they had 1,400 actual click-throughs to our interest. So again, just building more awareness about our industry and interest in us as a career opportunity has certainly paid its dividends already. And this will be happening on Thursday night. If you haven't seen, Destination New South Wales have released their brand new campaign, Feel New New South Wales. And they've got some great tips and tools that people can leverage this. Guys, it's not often that you have about a $2 million campaign out in the market promoting us, promoting our state to get out and about. And I am so thankful for the energy and effort that they've taken to add in outdoor activities into this campaign. So I just thought I'd share with you. Let me just make sure I shared sound before we go too far. Yes, I did. Okay, great. So this is the TVC, which you might have seen on TV. If not, here it is now for you.
It's a new dawn, it's a new day.
So that was the 30-second campaign. There's also a minute campaign and obviously all the social media and adverts that go with it. There's some great PR exposure. Lord Howe was on Sunrise this morning, as well as Blue Mountains was on Today's Show yesterday. So there's a lot of activity going on, and there's a lot of pointing towards visitnewsouthwales.com. So you've heard me rabbit on about this before, but if you haven't got your listing on that site, if you welcome visitors and you welcome tourists, please get your Get Connected listing up to date. Make sure it is showing your business that you, in the light that you wish it to show, because there's a lot of traction, a lot of people that are going to be going to that website with this activity going. They've provided this little document to give you that opportunity to leverage this activity. So I urge you to download that off their website. And certainly what they talk about is obviously the hashtags that they're using, again, creating a bit more traction through to your business from this campaign. But the cool thing that you can do, and I know a lot of you are Instagrammers, you can now download your own GIF of Feel New and put it into your Instagram feed. So if it is something that you're wanting to promote to potential visitors, add your little GIF, Feel New, into your Instagram posts, tag them, and you'll get a bit more exposure in that area. If you're unsure how to do that, give Leslie or myself a call and we'll help you. A reminder again, just getting back to activity, make sure you're operating within your capacity, checking all your procedures and compliance. The AAAS audits are certainly going gangbusters at the moment. If you haven't had your systems and operations audited, I strongly urge you to have a look at that opportunity and get one of our professionals in and help you do that. We've already had Vanessa, so that's pretty much all I have for you today. So I just wanted to open up and ask, is there any questions, anything going on that we need to know, or any opportunities? No? Cool.
Do you know if oh yeah, sorry, didn't even put my hand up, but if we have some time, I guess we've got a few minutes, haven't we?
Yes, we do. We've got 7 minutes.
Are you familiar with the program that Vanessa was talking about? Can you...
Very familiar. And for full disclosure, I'm one of the mentors.
So who are you mentoring?
It
is a...
Yeah. So I'm actually, I assist the program by being a mentor.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. So you know all about it. Okay.
I do.
So it's a mentoring program.
Correct.
Oh, okay. Well.
So basically the program on offer, they take you through a series of information sessions. So you get access to their whole library of webinars, which could be anything that triggers your interest. You don't have to join everything, but you are connected to a mentor that can look at the challenges that you have. So you fill out like a business health check if you're interested in being part of the program, and you tell them where the pain points are, some of the goals you've got or some of the challenges you've got, and then they match a mentor to look at that. So, and then you have 5 sessions over the course of 10 weeks with them, and you work through those things with that mentor. And then you've got added value of the support of Sparrowly Group and what they offer. So I fully believe in these sorts of programs, which is why I put my hand up to help out.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much, Laurie. I look forward to really jumping into that. I would love. Sounds great. Thank you.
Yeah, my pleasure. No problem. Anything from anyone else? I'm hoping to update you all very soon with the outcomes of our discussions at a government level. But other than that, we might stop recording and open up if anyone wants to chat.